We don't have sound, but we have smell.
We have sound.
Oh, we have sounds. Okay. Did we have sound from the first?
Yeah.
Or
We're good. We have
okay.
sound.
Send all the hate mails to Ann Wood.
She's not a real person. That's why she's not on camera.
She's a bot. Okay. All right. Are we on really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do this.
All right.
Baby.
So what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna try and keep explaining what I'm doing as I'm doing it, or maybe before I'm gonna do it. So, like I said, just please bear with us. It will get better. All right. But just like in anything else, you got to get started, right? You got to get started. Okay. So. I pretty much explained, I think, everything that I need to explain. So, and if you guys got any questions, I don't think we have a way of listening to your questions on real time, or do we?
Yeah, they pop up on here.
Oh, they do. Okay.
We got the monitor over there.
Okay. So yeah. So if that is possible for you guys to chime in, go ahead. No math questions, please. That's my weak area. And just go ahead and I'll try my best to answer them if I know the answer, okay? All right, let's get started. First is the sketch, right? Well, first is you got to have an idea what you're going to sketch, right? See, I told you I wasn't good at this.
You're doing great.
I'm doing great? Okay, thanks. But that came from my daughter, so what do you know? It's going to be a moonlight, okay? This piece is going to a gallery in Las Vegas. They had requested a large piece for their display of my program, and I figured we'll do two things in one effort. So as I'm going to do this piece, this is going to go to the Bill Mack Gallery at Caesar's Palace. That is if everything works out. Okay. But that's what it's slated for. Okay, I'm going to do the sketch of what I had in mind. It's a moonlight piece. I figured I'd start with something that's kind of monochromatic so that it's not too complicated. But for those of you that know me, I've always advocated for a very strong composition. Okay, that is what I believe to be the most important thing in doing an image. It's because even if you do all the other parts correctly, if your composition is not strong, okay, you're going to compromise all the other parts of what you're doing. So make sure your composition is very, very strong, okay, as strong as you can make it, okay? All right, here we go with the sketch. I start out with the focal point. And then all the other parts that supporting it will come later. So the focal point of this image, you guys must have guessed it by now, if you know what kind of work I do, is the wave that's breaking. All right, so here we go.
Is that a special pencil?
This pencil is a drafting pencil, but it doesn't have to be this. It just has to be dark enough to register. So I think this is like the equivalent of a number 2 pencil. Whatever works for you, does the job the way you want it to, that would be good. Okay. So I'm placing the braking wave as it's rolling over and braking, and it's going to crash against some rocks here. All right, so basically I'm recording the image that I have in my head. And so, and this is the face of the wave.
Sheldon says aloha.
Hey, Sheldon, aloha, brah.
Oh, Christy Olsen says hi.
This is for you, Christy.
Phil Gandong is on. Missing these times together.
Oh, from Canada, Phil Gagnon. Okay, so the braking wave is pretty much established. And so now I'm working towards the beach. Yeah, and you know, take your time with the sketch, you know, because that's your guide, yeah. So what you don't want to be doing is, as you are painting, is to also be guessing at what you're going to do, because that certainly divides your focus and your attention, and you know, that's never any good, in my opinion. Now, if something comes up better than what you imagined, then obviously you have to be open enough to be able to accommodate that, make a shift in your composition if you must, and then see if you can work that in. But in absent of any new ideas, you have a general plan of where you're going. And you know, like I said, you can change your mind at any time, and that's fine, right? And actually, as I am doing my sketch, I'm constantly rethinking my original plan. Now that I've got X amount of it in front of me, I can see whether or not what I thought of initially was in fact a good idea, or has something else come up that is an even better idea, right? But main thing is, you know, get started, and you'll figure it out. I mean, it's not going to be make or break on one canvas, right? You guys know that. All right, so that's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. So I guess I got some rocks here, so I'm gonna partially shade it. Hopefully that will help you to differentiate between the shapes. So it doesn't have to be perfectly done. It just has to not be blank. Right? And that is just a little help from me to me with love to minimize any possible confusion. Okay? Right. So.
Do you remember your password for iTunes?
For iTunes, now you can look
Here,
at.
check. Put your finger on install and see if that works.
Oh, install.
What's your password?
And hold it down.
think it wants you to write it
I know, but you can, let's see if you can go here. It's in here somewhere.
in. Okay.
Okay. And okay, so what we want to do is we want to have um, balance in your composition, right? Because if it's lopsided, um, it has an awkward feel when you're looking at it. Now it can happen that way in nature, but you don't have to do it the way you found it in nature. What you want to do is you want nature to inspire your own vision of how you want to express your own personal likes and dislikes about how things are, right? So, right. And then we'll designate that to be the wettest part of the sand. Just have some groups of rocks over here. Yeah, this could all be just sand, I guess. Well, you know what? Let's just not worry about that for now. Let's concentrate on the rest of it. Again, I'm partially shading this thing to help differentiate the shape, which is this will be the rocks. Okay. And then this is the beach part right here. Okay, and we can add rocks to this later if we want. But for now, that'll be good, okay? And so this is the spray coming off the breaking wave. These lines here help me visually to guide the shape of that, the curl of the face of the wave, and I can mark some little areas here where the foam is being swept up onto the face. Don't have to follow that, but little light reminders, that'll be good. Okay, so now we will do all of what's behind the wave. Okay.
Okay, we got it. So if you go and talk to your dad and everything, let's see how is it gonna look. So we want to do it sideways, and then I don't know if you want to do like a little twist. So.
Okay, so we got a landmass over here on the right side. So this will be the closest one. So this is kind of like the middle ground. Okay, it's going to be mostly rocks, and I'm not going to worry about the definition of it for now, because that'll come later. But in keeping up with what we've done here as far as the landmass, maybe what I should do as well is go ahead and kind of shade it a little bit. Okay, so I'll do that. I'm going to put some shrubberies, bushes over here on top. Okay, like so. And again, let's shade that. Again, it's not really important. It's not really going to be a pencil drawing, so don't It doesn't have to be perfect. But this is for the benefit of everybody else not being confused, including me. Especially me. Okay? And we'll go ahead and shade the bushes as well. Nothing worse than an unshaded bush.
You're telling me.
I do the comedy around here, all right? And this is a good way to stall when you don't know what you're going to do next. Of course, that doesn't apply to me. I got bigger problems than that.
Raleigh's managing another camera, so she's getting another view on screen.
Uh-oh.
We got the gray-haired view.
The B cam. The B cam.
All right. See what I got to put up with? All right. So we got that. We got that going on. And now let's make the outline of this a little stronger. And you're not obligated to follow these lines. These are just how you believe at the time they should be. And if you want to change your mind later and make it better, well, hopefully it's because you want to make it better, then you can go ahead and do that. I'll just go ahead and add a little bit of rock there that I didn't plan earlier, but now that I'm here again, it looks like that's a good idea. If I change my mind, I'll paint over that. Okay. Like so. Okay. Now let's put, so I'm basically working my way back from the front going towards the horizon, and I'm going to put the mountains that I think this composition will need. I'll put one here, I'll put one here. Like so.
I'll take you off. Hold on.
Okay. All right. And now let's do a mountain here. Okay. And maybe that would, oh, you know what? Let's do another one.
Oh, someone's watching from Ireland. They fell in love with your work 14 years ago on their honeymoon. Debbie Magnus. Can do a shout out to her.
Hey, Debbie, from where?
from Ireland.
Debbie from Ireland. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.
Patty and Mike are on.
The Rolfs.
Yep.
Hey guys, Mike and Patty, hello. All right, so yeah, so I think this is enough for the mountain. So here, the rest of this guy here will be the sky, and what we'll do is we will do some clouds. So, and then we will put some clouds over here.
Your camera might not have to be that high.
Okay, and then the moon we will put over here somewhere. Like so. And then these are like just the major cloud formations, and then we'll be able to add more of that later. Okay, so basically this is the pencil sketch. So what I'll do next is I will go over the sketch with a wash. So that's basically the oil paint thinned with paint thinner, or some people call it a turpentine wash. But basically it's just your paint thinned with mineral spirits, okay? So it'll have like a watercolory feel to it. And if you use less mineral spirits, then your strokes will be more solid. If you use a lot of mineral spirits, then it'll be thin. So, you decide how you want to use it. But the color I'm going to use to do that with is indigo, okay? But you can use whatever color that you like to use. Some people will do a combination of colors like phthalo blue and burnt umber, and then thin that out. Experiment, right? Part of really being able to do this really well is that you are open to different ways of going about it, right? Try not to get stuck so much doing things the way I would do it, right? This is just me doing what I'm doing. And you know what, to tell you the truth, what I'm doing now is not how I started, okay? So the evolution of the work process is an exciting part of what you're doing. So try not to miss out on that. If you stick with what you call your formula in your head, sometimes that can be so habit forming that it's hard to break away, right? So when you don't want to create problems for yourself, so just hang loose, pick up whatever you think you can pick up from what I'm doing. Put your spin on it if you wish. You can go back. If that doesn't work out, go back to the way I was doing it. But be free to evolve, okay? All right. So I will get, I'm going to use a flat number 8 brush. So I can get some lines with this, and I can fill up some areas with it as well, okay? And again, whatever works for you, do that, okay? This is what I'm doing is just a guide. All right. Now I'm going to start again where the whole thing was started, but this time I will do it with paint.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, so it's pretty dark. It's a kind of purplish blue.
What area are you going to paint first?
I'm going to go over everything again, like I did with my pencil, right? So I'm going to start with the front part here, with the the focal point, which is the breaking wave. Okay. So,
I'm gonna do a little camera angle adjusting. There we go.
and you know, this, as you might already guess, will stain the canvas, right? And it's a good stain, right? You want that because a lot of people tone their canvases because it's nice and bright. That's not a bad idea. It's just that I got used to doing this way, so it doesn't bother me to the point that I need to have a toned canvas. But if you need to have one, then by all means do that, right? Whatever works, that's the rule. And I just got to share with you guys that the way I paint now is not the way I was taught, okay? This developed over years of working, and I learned how to shift and adjust all of what I knew back then in such a way that I was able to accommodate the things that I wanted to do much better than how I was taught. Okay, so let's do that. And so basically, where I believe the highlights are going to be, obviously this is not the first painting that I've ever done, so I kind of have an idea where I'm going. So, but you can use that to your advantage as I'm trying to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? And that tells you that at some point, if you just keep working, you too will have a history that you can use as your guide when you do your subsequent paintings after the first ones, right? Because you will have gained some kind of experience, and there's no other way to get the experience than just to keep working, right?
Therese, Asaliaga, whatever. She's on. Therese, our favorite Therese.
Oh, Alcayaga?
Yeah.
T, what's going on? You should have been here. Right? You can help me out.
John Vibo. Do you know who that is?
John, what's the last name?
Vibo, V-Y-B-O-H. Vibo. He loves your paintings.
Oh, I'm not coming to. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Okay, so starting to take shape. This is the foam, right, of the crashing wave. I think it's time for my nap.
So we're going to do, we're going to share the device. We're going to share the screen. We're going to share this camera. Yep. And then
I'll tell you when it's on. So,
Okay, so that's
still trying
down.
to connect.
And now we will do the face.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's a great view, Raleigh. Can it zoom in a tiny bit? Yeah, that's great.
So I am painting everything that is not the foam. Okay? The light areas that I leave are the foam. Okay? So basically, it's kind of like a coloring book approach, right? I created areas, now I'm going to fill them in. So there's a school of thought out there where, you know, you don't want to, you know, follow the lines, right? Okay, I don't subscribe to that rule. You can deviate from that because the rule is whatever works. And since this paint is pretty thin, you know, you as you probably guessed, it dries faster. And this, working with a little brush, people would ask me, why don't you get a big brush so you can cover it faster? Okay, so if your objective is to do it faster, then that is correct advice. But what I'm trying to do is actually what I'm doing serves two purposes, right? One is that I can use the brush to cover a bigger area than what the thin part of the brush can deliver by using the broad area, and I get to have a dry run on the real underpainting that I'm going to do as to how I will approach it, right? So if you don't need that part, then yeah, use a bigger brush. Right, but see, as I'm going over the parts that I've already done earlier, it's now going to be darker.
Was this straight color over here?
Yeah, that's just indigo, thinned out. That's
What kind
all.
of paint?
What do you mean, what kind of paint?
What's the brand?
Oh, it's I think it's Grumbacher. I use Grumbacher and Winsor Newton. And neither one of those guys paid me to say that.
Not sponsored.
No. But again, if another brand works for you, then use that. Okay?
A small cameo.
Oh, yeah. The lovely and talented Ann Wood. Where'd you go? I knew sooner or later you couldn't resist.
Although, I probably have to look at the camera and not you. Oh, there I come.
Well, people can't help that, so it's okay.
That was a quick cameo. We have 3 cameras going, so it's kind of cool.
Ah,
Turn this way. I'll show you.
oh, wow.
And look at this camera.
Yeah.
What?
Look
Where?
backwards
Oh,
towards
back
right.
here?
Yeah, that's actually a better view because you can see your face instead
Oh.
of talking to the other one.
Oh, okay.
If it's
Well,
more
I was just
comfortable.
following the director's orders.
Yeah.
So bossy, we all know.
Yeah.
Oh,
So is it oil or acrylic just thinned out with paint thinner? Sorry, I missed a bit when the baby woke.
Oh, okay. What's the baby's name? No, it's oil. Everything is oil.
Steve Fuller is in the house.
Steve! Where are you, Steve? Over here? Over there?
He's got a handsome Facebook picture.
I know, he looks like Clint Eastwood.
Jeez. Jeez, Steve.
I told him he's got the Clint squint.
I think his kids are here, right? No?
I think they're coming over in October, according to Earl.
Earl was hanging out with him right now.
Okay, so that'll be that, and now we will proceed. This is a little swell. Just to mark where that is, and then we can mark off that guy and all right.
Yeah, he just on 5/17, Earl said he was out hiking with Fuller's daughter and son-in-law. They're on their honeymoon.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah.
about that detail.
Yeah, they're here now.
What?
That was 5/17. He said Earl said he's out hiking with the daughter and son-in-law.
Well, that's fun. That was just 3 days ago.
3 days ago?
4 days. Today's the 21st. Getting old, Grandpa.
I don't know. He never told me about any of that. Okay. So now, let's do the rocks. Okay. And this would be a good time to make changes as well. If you decided that your pencil sketch was kind of weak and you wanted to make it stronger, this is a good time to do it. Actually, I was looking at my sketch earlier and I decided that was perfect.
We expect nothing
All
less.
right, well, I don't know. So again, I'm gonna see about painting it with the moon's reflection on it already. Nothing is permanent, but this is a good time to kind of play around, you know. And
So you basically just use one color when doing the wash?
yeah, it's basically a value study, light and dark, light and dark, light and dark, or dark and light, whichever way is easier for you. but it's a good guide for you later on, if the how you decide it's going to be, if it's already there. One less thing that you got to think of, because you can actually see it, right? And if you want to change it, fine, but it's nice to have something already there instead of having to reimagine everything every time you're painting on something, right? So here I'm going over what I had done, so that I can have my darks be a little bit darker. As we know, it's a night scene. So one thing you don't want to do is have things be bright. Yeah. I mean, you can have them relatively be bright, but in general, most everything is going to be muted. Okay. All right. And then another rock here. Like so.
Okay, I might have missed it, but what's the point of doing a wash if you're just gonna, why do you need the study of dark and light if you're just gonna paint over it anyway?
For those, I'm trying to accommodate as many people as I can. Then there are folks that are first starting out, and it's I'm trying to introduce techniques that will make their initial go at it to be as easy as it can be, as understandable as to why that's important for them. For those that are way past this, yeah, you don't need it. But it's, to me, it's still fun because, like I said, it's like a dry run into how you're going to paint it later, how the strokes are going to be. I think it's very, very helpful, especially if you have in your idea, you have a lot of vague spots in there. This is a really good way to either solidify that thought as that, oh, okay, that's a good thing to do, or you know what, that wasn't good. Now that I'm seeing it, it's not that good. So you can make changes instead of going at it in such a way that you think it's going to be good. You invest a lot of time and energy, and then you discover that, oh, that wasn't good at all. But if there was anything that's not going to be as good as you would like, you want to discover it at this stage, because then you have time to adjust it, right? Did that answer the question?
Yep.
I hope.
Do you always do a wash personally?
Nope. Like I said, this is for the benefit of those that are not that confident yet with their values. Then you can compare, light and dark and all of all the grays in between. Yeah.
Oh, the lady's baby's name is Tallulah.
Tallulah.
Such a cute name.
Very cute. Hi, Tallulah.
Oh, Mike Magino. Do you know who that is?
Facebook friend. Yeah.
Yeah, he's enjoying you live.
Oh, cool. Hey, Mike. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, Steve will be here in October.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's just do this rock over here on the left. So once you got your wash done, you should have a really good visual of your idea as it relates to the values that you're going to be working with, right? Where your lights are, where your darks are, all that stuff. And by doing so, you know, you don't have to remember anything about the value part, because you can just look at it and see that, oh, okay, that part is dark, this part is light, you know, that kind of stuff, right? Anything that you can do to make your process easier by not having to remember a lot of stuff, that's a good thing, because there's a lot of other things that you do need to pay attention to. So to have other things be automatic, you know, that's a very helpful way to, you know, kind of help yourself, kind of a thing, you know. And this is like the swell that's coming up again. You know, all the white areas is basically where the moonlight is hitting it, yeah. So knowing that the moon is here somewhere, I know this part right here is going to be brighter than the rest, right? So knowing that, I'm not going to put a lot of dark areas in this spot right here. I'm just kind of leave it lighter or blank, and then darken all the areas surrounding it so that it creates that contrast, right? Okay, and more indigo.
Does a painting this size take an entire tube of blue paint?
No, not at all. It's very thin, so basically you're just staining the canvas, and the fact that you're thinning it out so little goes a long way. I haven't even used what I squeezed onto my palette, so it doesn't use up a lot. It's just like I said, every once in a while, even though it's not part of my usual process, that I will do this if I need to have visual confirmation that what I had in mind actually looks good, more than what I have imagined it, right? So I think it's worth it to do it that way.
Sean Wingate's watching.
Sean, Shayla's dad.
And Paula Clevenger, first time to watch you live. What a privilege.
Oh, well, thank you, Paula. I appreciate that. Okay, and we'll do the foam over here, and obviously we're going to follow the same principle that the moon is right here, so the bright area will be here. I will the face of the wave will not be white, because I'll reserve that for that area. So and as I'm going over the parts that I painted before, since it has dried and I'm not scumbling at it too much, then it holds its shape, yeah. So it gives me freedom to put some, you know, kind of forceful strokes on there. I don't have to do it gingerly.
Oh, Mary Jean's on.
Uh-oh. Hey, Mary Jean. Okay. This guy will be in the shadows here of this guy right here of the foam, and again.
Is that an art term? This guy?
Yeah, yeah. It's like the art version of the kind. Right. So now, even in this stage, you can tell. Well, I can probably emphasize it a little bit more, but you know that this area here is light because I'm preparing that area for where the moon's reflection is going to be, right? And if you wanted more contrast with against the rocks, then you can make your rocks darker. And you don't have to cover all that the strokes that you did the first time. You can leave that as a medium tone, as a gray, right? And then you can add the dark on there. There you go. And you can do the same for this guy here. Again, you can make all kinds of adjustments. It's better to start off light, and you can just make it darker if you're not happy with the first way that you did it. But you know, kind of think of it as, you know, like you're adding salt to your cooking, right? You don't want to put too much of it. You can always add more. So you're not on fix it mode, right?
You know what, Raleigh? This wasn't on. That's weird. Oh, when we plugged it in,
What's not on?
The power strip.
yeah, it was, let me see. There we go. No wonder it wasn't working.
It wasn't charging?
Yeah, it was, I think when the thing got pushed into the outlet.
That's not a good sound.
No, but it's okay.
That doesn't sound good either.
Main thing is it charging?
Okay, so there we go. And probably a good way to show a lot of contrast would be to do this landmass over here. And then this will really stand out because it's gonna go against an area that's gonna be dark, right? So more indigo. Start here. Oops, let's put that guy here. So it really helps a lot to, if you must use photo references of bushes, do that, okay? Being able to work off photo references is a valuable tool to have. That way, all your efforts are kind of in the same area of believability, right? Especially if it's your first time that you're doing this, because awkward looking bushes, whether it's in nature or not, obviously you don't want. But to be able to have something that is really the way it is in nature is very, very helpful. So as I'm doing this guy right here, the bushes, I am not just covering everything. I'm leaving parts of it to be lighter than other parts, knowing that I can go back in there later on and make it darker if I need to, right? But in the meantime, I'm being patient and just saying, okay, well, right now, all I want to do is get rid of that white canvas, right, which is glaring at me. And once this layer is dry, I can go back in there later and refine it better. So I'm not going to worry about that now.
So you have a lot of paint colors on your palette,
Uh-huh.
but are you going to use them all?
Not today, no. I will use it with other projects that I'll have during the week. So I have a standard palette that I use. Very little substitutions. Usually they discontinue a color that I'm used to. Then I will obviously have to add on something that I didn't have before. But basically the palette that I have now works for whatever I'm working at, right?
What are all those buckets of liquid?
This right here?
Yeah.
Well, this one here is water from when I am doing highlighting on my giclées.
It's okay to use green water?
Well, I just use it to wash my brushes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and I think I have it labeled. Oh, there you go.
In case you forget.
In case I can't remember where I parked my car. That's why I got personalized plates.
And then what's the other two ones?
The other two are paint thinner.
Oh, how come you have two?
One is, I used to have three, and I will have three soon. But I use one to initially wash the brushes, and the second one, if I want it cleaner than what the first one will give me, and then the last one is when I want it really, really, really clean. And so usually the first one here is going to be really dirty, and then this guy here will be the lightest one, because very rarely do I need the brushes to be really clean. When I have to do really bright colors that are not they can't be dirty, right? Because it'll mute the colors. So I have to have that clean thinner to be able to do that.
Well, and you got a lot of brushes on there. What kind of brush are you using right now?
What brand?
Is it thick or how come you pick that one?
Well, for one thing, it's very affordable. That is, and I'm really rough on my brushes, right? So whether they're expensive or not, I will basically mess them up. So I would rather mess up something that isn't too expensive, and they don't need to be expensive. They just need to do what you want it to do, and once they don't, then I move on.
So this is your first, would you consider this like a layer, first layer?
Just a wash. Yeah.
So then, how many layers does it take to do a painting this big?
How many layers? Well, it all depends. I mean, the layers, everything you do has to have a purpose, right? If you are going after, let's say, drama of light and dark, right? That is the most common contrast that everybody can relate to. Then you're gonna have an initial way that you're gonna do that. But if you wanted that drama to be severe, then you may have to add another layer to either darken something or lighten something to make that contrast even more dramatic, right? So it all depends. There's not really one formula that fits everything so much as there's a reasoning why you're doing what you're doing, right? So figure out first what you want to do, and then hopefully you know enough techniques to help you get to where you want to go, right? So the secret to having a lot of success doing that is work. You got to work a lot, right? And by working a lot, you discover a lot. And by discovering a lot, you get more tools in your toolbox as a result, right? That's a good thing.
What's that stick?
That is to keep my hand steady. It's called a mall stick.
Like shopping mall?
No. But it could be available in a shopping mall, but I haven't seen one yet. This was homemade. MAHL is how, I imagine that's some person's name that invented it. But it's something that a lot of old-time sign painters that used to do everything by hand would use to steady their hand, right? Especially when they're lettering everything by brush, instead of everything being computerized, and then you just cut it out and then stick it on, right? Old school sign painters will actually paint stuff on. And just think of it as when you are writing anything at all, your hand is on the desk, right? And that desk will, by being anchored on there, you have more control of your writing implement, right? And so you're not, dangling in midair trying to control the tip, right? Here's a good example. If, let's say, I wanted this thing to be precise, I would rest my hand on the maul stick and control the strokes in such a way that the brush is going to go precisely where I want it to go. Okay? But at this stage, it's not that important yet.
The lady Deborah said she thinks you should name this painting after her baby, Tallulah.
Tallulah. Okay.
Oh, that's cute.
But we need a phrase, I think. Yeah, I don't think we have a title. named Tallulah yet, so that is not, that's not a bad idea.
Come up. Oh, Blue Hawaii, someone said.
Uh-huh. Right, so this area here kind of represents, you know, kind of like the mist that's bound to be there when there's water crashing, right? So, and you can control that, how much mist you want, and that will probably help dictate the kind of activity that's going on, whether there's a lot of crashing waves or they're spaced out, right? But now that I've got that covered, I can go back in and like I did with the rocks and figure out where I want things to be a little darker, right? And knowing that the moon is here, so this area here will be lighter. So I'll put my darks on the opposite side. And the darks really are the shadows, right? And again, this is a wash. So it's really great to be able to play around, and you don't have to be very committed to the strokes, right? So here, as I'm bringing the darks further down towards the foam, obviously the brush is running out of paint, which is a good thing. So it gets lighter and lighter, right? And if that's not enough, I can go over that again. But in the meantime, that'll serve. But I need to do the upper part here again. Again, this is indigo, kind of dark. So initially, the canvas kind of muted a lot of the dark that was in the paint. It sucked it up, right? But now it's less absorbent. So you could truly say that the painting sucked in the beginning, but after a while it won't.
How long does this wash have to dry before you start on your next session?
It doesn't even have to really dry at all.
Oh.
Yeah, it's you could immediately, if you're happy with the way it is, with your values, then go over it with opaque paint and go at it.
What's opaque paint?
It's just not use. I'm going to use liquid. That's from Winsor Newton. It's an alkyd that speeds up the drying because my natural pace of painting is on the quick side. So I need the paint to be setting up and drying at the rate that I want it to. So I'm not waiting for the paint to dry before I can proceed. So if you're slow as your natural pace, then you don't need to speed up anything. Everything will just work out just fine. But I don't like waiting for it. So I use liquid and not turpentine anymore. This is the only part that I use the paint thinner or turpentine if you use that. So again, I'm going over areas that I already stained earlier because I wanted darker. And as you might guess, the darker I make this, the more contrast it's gonna have. So right now, in this area where this is the crashing wave right here, this is the land mass, they're very close in value, right? Obviously this is lighter, but as I'm creeping down to that area of the painting, it's getting darker and darker, right? So the contrast will be starker, right? But as I'm doing that, I'm also being very careful to make sure that it's not an abrupt change because I want to convey that there is mist up against that rock behind it. So I have to convey that. Like so. Okay, so for today's session, we have just a little bit of time left. We got less than half an hour left. So what I will do is refine as much as we can with what I got going on, and then we'll continue this another time. This guy a little darker. Okay, now there you go. And you know what? This is the beach, right? So there's not a whole lot of detail there, so we can actually use a bigger brush to cover it up. So it's not so bright. Yeah, when you get rid of the starkness of the canvas, then you can appreciate all of what you're putting on here better, because there's a lot of glare bouncing off that canvas, yeah. So at this stage, don't worry about it not being smooth. You can do that later on with the opaque paints later on, but this is just so that you get rid of the brightness of that white of the canvas. This guy here needs to be dark as well. So, again, if you want to go over some of your areas again, make parts darker than how they were, then go ahead and do that. And the darker you make your rocks, it provides a higher contrast, right? So that adds to the drama. What you don't want to do is have a lot of your colors be in the middle, because that would be boring, right? So you're going to have some extreme contrast somewhere, and usually that will grab attention, right? So you got to figure out where it is you want the attention to be, and address that situation accordingly. All right, so the more I do that, you can appreciate getting rid of some of the middle values, and it helps the drama. You want drama. Shouldn't be in your family, it should be in the canvas.
Oh, it sounds like we have a guest.
We do?
I hear the door opening to the studio.
No, Mom needs me to go put chicken on the counter.
Oh, you're leaving. We got a renegade.
So we have an escapee. Can't handle it no more. Okay, do that. Right. More here. notice I'm making this guy a lot darker. I can make those adjustments I spoke of later on, but at this stage, to exploit the difference between light and dark is a good time to do it. And then you can see the effect, and if you want to keep that effect, then when you're doing your underpainting later, then do it the way you did this wash, right? So it does serve you in a way that can be very, very helpful in the latter stages. So it's not a waste of time. It's not a waste of energy. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool to have. And this the foam over here from the wave breaking, I'd want to make this area darker because it's further away from where the moon is, so that I can do, right? And then we're going to back off of that as we get to this area here. But it creates a little bit of drama within this one section here. As you're getting away from the light here. And then it's falling into the shadows there, right? And you can have some, this guy will be in the shadows as well. So you just basically just playing around, light and dark, but instead of using black, I'm using indigo. Makes it a little bit more interesting, and black's kind of a heavy color anyway. But and since this is going to be a moonlight, so the blue kind of makes sense, right? And the more contrast you have on the moonlight, the more interesting it'll be. Because there's not a whole lot of things going on. There's not a whole lot of different colors going on. So The more you can make it interesting with the minimum colors that you have, we'll do that. And again, remember, this is just a wash, so you don't have to commit 100% of what you're doing, but it gives you a visual. You can see what's gonna happen if you paint this with opaque paints, right? So that's, I don't know, I think that's kind of invaluable. So you kind of get a dry run with very little commitment, because you don't have to follow anything you did today, but you're just getting a little peek of what your value contrast is going to be like if you did it this way. Which I think is very, very handy. So,
Looks like a whole painting if I did it. It looks done from a amateur standpoint.
As a value study, right? All it is, you're playing with light and dark, light and dark, light and dark, right? And then the fact that you started off kind of in an anemic way where everything's kind of light, that's okay, because now you know that since it dries really quickly, you can adjust it, right? Like here, like this part right here, I want to make that guy darker, that area, okay?
So you don't do the rest of the sky kind of, or does that come later?
I could, right? I could later on, but this part right here, right? It's kind of has the same value all the way across, but I want it to be more contrasting, so I'll make this guy dark, knowing that as I move to the right, it should get lighter and lighter. Right. And also in here in the barrel, you can make that guy darker. You can have more contrast there, right? And then you just scumble your way into the part that's getting thin and coming out of the shadows. Right, your brush is running out of paint, which is perfect. Right. This guy darker as well. Remember, all the light areas is the foam. More contrast, and the more severe the contrast, the more interesting it's going to get, right? Anytime you take it out of the middle ground tones, it gets interesting. This guy here can be darker. And of course, as you're moving to the right, you're running out of paint, which is perfect, because you don't want that dark to be severe by the time you get here, because remember that your light is here, right? From the moon. And this one as well, right? This guy here's the shadow. Like so. Okay. last part we're gonna do before we wrap it up for today. I'm just gonna do this little outcropping over here. Adjustments here and there. Okay. What do you think, Ann?
I like it.
Would that be it for today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That looks really good.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Again, excuse us for all the missteps, but we're gonna get better. So hang in there with us. Really trying to help a lot of my colleagues that are trying to get going. If you want to do it the way I do it, this is the way that's what I'm showing you, okay? This is not the only way to do it, right? This is just my way of doing things, okay? So
Awesome.
until next time, aloha. Happy painting.